Hello and welcome to the beginning of the third year of Game Develop Repeat. I am your host, Chris, and I finished off 2024 by binging the ever living crap out of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's pretty good. It's not absolutely amazing or mind blowing, but I liked it a lot and it added a lot, and I think it's worth playing. Having said that, that's pretty much all I'm going to say about that game today. I don't really want to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake, even though it is the most recent game that I've really sunk my teeth into. What I want to talk about more than anything, maybe we'll talk about the remake a little bit in relation to this, but not any plot points or anything like that. I just want to talk about the experience of binging a game. I want to talk about binge gaming, really just having a weekend, going no life mode with it, because I think it's pretty common and it's kind of the way that I've experienced games for a very long time. And I want to try to relate that back to developing games because there's something about that. There's something interesting in the difference between the way that we play games and the way that we develop games, or maybe the similarity between the way that we play games and develop games. So I just want to explore that a little bit. This isn't as structured of an episode as I would typically want to do. I don't have notes sitting here. I don't really have a very, very tight plan for exactly what points I'm going to hit and so on. And some of you are going, what do you mean very, very tight plan? You never have a very, very tight plan. Well, yeah, fair enough. But I usually go in with a little more than I have today. But I'm excited for this one, and I hope you are too. Let's just get started. At what point do you go, okay, screw it, I'm going all in, I'm going to binge this game. I'm going to complete this game, or I'm so excited about this, let's freaking go, let's do this, I'm binging this game. I'm beating it as quickly as possible, I'm spending as many hours available as I possibly can, I'm going to get this project done. Or do you just slip into it? Do you just start playing a game and then you go, oh my God, I played a lot of that game. Okay, well, I'll play a little bit tomorrow. And then, oops, so I've gotten really deep into that. Does the game just fully suck you in? Completely absorb your mind for a little bit. And you have to like set an alarm and then you hit the alarm and you go, oh, I just need to get to a save point. And then you get to the save point and you go, oh, I think I'm good. And then you just keep playing because you forgot that the alarm goes off. Is it an intentional choice? Hopefully it's an intentional choice. I think that's generally a less frustrating way to game, right? If it happens on accident once or twice, it feels great in some way. You know, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that game sucked me in that much. But if it happens all the time, it becomes like, God, I gotta like stop gaming or something. It's ruining my sleep schedule, right? We don't want that. We want to enjoy the hobby. For me, the gaming binge happens when I'm just really excited about a game, which means it happens a lot. I love a good binge gaming session. I am very much a binge gamer because I've got that mentality of I want to clear the backlog. I want to experience all these games. I want to know what these other people are doing, what they're making. I want to get in there. I want to see it. I want to feel it. Games have been doing a better and better job of just punching me in the gut lately. Like I'll play games that aren't even like absolutely crushing it in terms of story, and they'll still get me. I'm like, oh man, oh that got me, you know. And I want to experience that. I want to get through, but then I don't want to rush it. But I enjoy binging games, so I get away with rushing it. I'm okay with forgetting all the little details of the game. I'm okay with forgetting tons of stuff. I tend to be a little bit of a completionist, which can make things a little bit more complicated in terms of time commitment, but I don't need to remember everything that happened in the game. All I need is a big emotional block about that game and a vague sensation of what caused what so that I can like digest that and remember that and go, "Ooh, that was a nice one. That made me feel really good. What a great story. What a great this, what a great that, what a bad this thing." I just want to absorb that. And that's why I'm almost always a binger when it comes to games. If I do a game low and slow, if I take a long time to beat it, I have a tendency to never beat it. I was doing a low and slow play of Chrono Trigger, and I still haven't finished it. It's been like a year. It's been like half a year or something. It's a short game. I'm probably like 5 hours or less away from beating it. But now I'm not 100% sure exactly where I was, and so on and so on. I literally wrote notes somewhere in case this happened, and then this did happen. So I'll have to go back to that at some point because, my God, what a game, by the way. What a phenomenal game. Anyway, where was I? What causes you to do this? Do you say, I can't wait for that game to come out. I am going to binge it day one so I can be one of the first people experiencing it. That is one that I don't do. I largely because I just can't deal with the technical disappointments and stuff. And the paying more for it and all of this. I just can't deal with it, man. It doesn't work for me. I look at it and I go, "No, look at this other game that cost $11 that looks really cool." And then I binge that. I don't even notice the releases most of the time. Although I am very aware of the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is part 2 of the remake thing, Steam release date, because I have a confession. I have to tell you this because I'm anti pre-order. I did technically pre-order that, but I did it because it was a bundle with the first one, and like I knew that if I got the first, I was gonna play all three. And look, my plan was to not buy any of them until they were all three out. And then a family member gave me money for Christmas with the direct instruction that I spend it irresponsibly. And I was like, the most irresponsible thing I could possibly do is pre-order a port from Square Enix. It's not, their ports have been getting better, but like I don't pre-order stuff. And I was like, that's pretty irresponsible. That's me being irresponsible. I will spend $70 on video games. Actually, I spent more than that because I also picked up Final Fantasy 16. Whoops. Oh boy, I got off track on that one. Where was I? The binge gaming. I enjoy a binge. And then I get to the end of it. And that might sound like, oh, I get to the end of it and I have to return to reality. I guess that's the case sometimes, but I think a lot of the time I get to the end of the binge and I go, I feel like crap because I've only been playing games. You know, I've just been sitting here. Like, because I will go several days of this is just gaming. Like, I'm like, this is all I'm doing is gaming. I am going to beat this game. I'll do basic life stuff, like the absolute basics, and then everything else is gaming. This is where you like take a couple days off of work, get a long weekend situation, and boom, just bash it out for some major release or something, right? And at the end of those, you have this feeling of like my body it doesn't feel right and kind of lethargic, and I'm kind of tired of chasing these arbitrary goals, and you get to this place where you're just like, yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know. I feel like it sours the experience a little bit, which brings me to my last thought about the gaming portion of this whole episode. And then we'll talk about game development and so on and so on. Should large games just not be binged? It is, for me at least, I mean, everybody's going to have their own pattern. Like, I don't play MMOs really, and I don't do a lot of competitive multiplayer stuff anymore because I love binging games. And those games can't be binged. Not really. I binged the fishing on World of Warcraft. That was nice. That was a good binge because it was easy to just finish one particular thing. But like when the game gets too big, the binge is tough. And then you don't enjoy the end of the game that much. Like I recently did Final Fantasy VII remake, and I went hard on it, and it was good for about 35 hours. And then I think the remainder of it, I kind of went, all right, well, let's finish this, you know? And it's not that the game wasn't good for those last bits. It's that I was ripping through it. And I was like, all right, I just got to get to the end. I'm racing. I was like racing the clock to finish this game before I had to start going back to work because I was doing it over like break holiday days that I had and like squeezing it in with like, oh, I spent time with family, of course. But like all my spare time was just on these games, on this game in particular. But I like a binge. I think it's important to know the length of time that you can actually enjoy a game for, roughly. It's going to be specific to certain games, but like I bet all of us have some kind of, ooh, if I go past like 3 days of really going in a game, I'm not going to enjoy it that much anymore. I'm just going to feel obligated to finish it. But if you do the 3 days, you're going to feel obligated to finish it. So maybe the good move is just don't binge games that take longer than 3 days. You know, maybe don't set yourself up for that failure. Maybe give them the long play, which can be rough. If you're not if you're not a long play guy, or if you're really excited for the game. But I think that might be what I do. I think I have to do that with Final Fantasy Rebirth. The second part of the 3-part thing, which I'm still annoyed about that for no good reason too, because they seem to be doing a good job with it. I think literally I'm just mad at The Hobbit still to this day. But we're getting off track. Let's talk about game development. When I'm developing a game, I have a slight urge to binge the development process. I think you might relate to this. This urge to have it done, get it done ASAP, be finished, be so good at this. Wow, my game is done. Good job. Or even just chunks of the game, which is how it actually manifests itself. Is, oh, I'll finish this chunk and then I'll finish this chunk and this chunk, which is good. And at the same time, there needs to be a through line. There needs to be something carrying me through the rest of the way. And I can only speak for myself. Maybe this isn't the case for you. I'd encourage you to search a little bit and see what is the case for you. What is it that pulls you along through your project? But I need something interesting to think about. What's the next phase of the project? It can't just be like a vague thing. I need like something to engage with. Because if I just have a vague idea of my game, then my mind is pretty likely to go, oh, well, how successful is it going to be? And just float around in there. Are people going to judge me for making sexy fish? Are people going to judge me for my plot, my writing style, whatever? And I can start going down those rabbit holes. And then I can start going, oh, I should never even make a game. I'm so bad at this. I can go down a whole thing if I want to. Or when I start thinking about my game, I can start going, oh, what was that thing I was working on? And then start pondering through that. What's more productive? Even assuming you don't have the whole complex of going, oh, everybody's going to hate my art and then therefore they hate me as a person and blah, 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 which is, I think, extremely common, but maybe I'm just projecting. Even if you don't have all of that, what is the benefit of just leaving this big open space? And there might be one, by the way. You might have an answer for that. For me, there's not a benefit because my mind will fill that space and it will go, the moment I think about the game I'm working on, it's going to go down some kind of a rabbit hole that is not productive. Maybe it'll let me just not think about the game, but I don't think so. I think if I was working on it yesterday, I'm thinking about it today. And so I want to be thinking about it in a way that's useful. I don't want to be thinking maybe it'll make this much money. I want to be thinking, what do I want to do about that plot point? How do I want to do this? How do I want to navigate that? So much of it is just figuring out these little individual problems and questions and sorting out those details. And it's nice to let that run in the background if that's your style. Maybe you've got a completely different creative style. Maybe you want it to be 100% shut off anytime that you were not actively working on it, which I think is also great, and we all just work differently. But the urge to binge development feels both impatient and, is it distracting? Impractical? Yes, sure, but binging the individual bits of development is a strange mix of extremely useful and probably don't finish it entirely, or don't close every single loop. Make sure that there's something open for you to kind of think about, something actively open for you to go, ooh, how do I solve this problem? Because I do think that's going to help keep you engaged in your game development process. There it is. Those are the words I was looking for. I think that is worth testing, at least. And I'm also curious what your whole process is. I don't know how to phrase it. It's so impossible to talk about process because it's so individualized, and there tend to be a lot of fluffy words around it, and it's not very precise. And I think we're all just so extremely different as people. And games are an effort to communicate those differences a lot of the time. But we can't always put those differences into words. And when we get into this meta conversation of trying to talk about the way that we make the thing, and the thing that we're making is us communicating our feelings to the world, like even that sentence was really hard to follow. It's oftentimes not worth doing. But I do want these little tips. So if somebody has little tips for keeping yourself connected to it, feel free to share. We've got the Discord. Not super active on Twitch right now, but it'll come back around at a reduced rate. I'm still adapting to my schedule. I'm still kind of recovering from this massive life shift that I had, which I pretended to myself. I was like, oh, everything will stay completely exactly how it has been, and I'll just also be working 70 hours a week. Of course, when I started, I thought it was going to be 60 hours. So, even then I was like, yeah, it'll be fine. Nothing will change. No, obviously things are going to change. Be realistic, Chris. Come on, man. It's hard to be realistic sometimes, though. When you're so excited about what you're doing and you just love all this stuff that you're working on, and then you look at it and you go, I got to be realistic. You go, no, I'm being realistic. I'm being realistic. I have 40 hours in every day. It'll be fine. It'll be so good. And then, maybe not so much. But the Twitch schedule, genuinely, I'll be able to work in something. I just got to figure out what it is. Because my hours are already chilling out a little bit at work. They actually started chilling out sooner than I thought they would. So we'll sort that out. But let's go ahead and wrap things up and hopefully get you motivated for the week with some kind of interesting question to leave you with. Here's an interesting question. What is your favorite gaming binge experience that you've had? Maybe it was with friends. Maybe it was a multi-day release of a title that you were really excited about. What was your favorite gaming binge experience, and what made it so good? And the reverse of this question is, what's your least favorite gaming binge and what made it so bad? Let's start with the least favorite, because then we can end on a positive note. Least favorite gaming binge for me, League of Legends. Every time, always. Anytime I've tried to binge League of Legends, I become an angrier person. I'm less happy. I'm more miserable in every way, and I have a lower self-esteem. I hate that game. I don't know why it's that powerful. It sucks. It's like designed to turn people against each other and make you feel bad about yourself. I don't like it. So I think the reason that binge is not enjoyable is self-explanatory, and we don't need to get deep and metaphorical with that. It just sucked. It's not a good game to binge. It takes over your life in the worst possible way. And I guess game dev projects could take over your life in that way, where you have like, okay, not to make everything a video game analogy, but you ever have a project that feels like League of Legends? Because I feel like I have. And I think maybe that's a sign to move on with something else. Or just wrap it up real quick and get out of there. Now, it's my favorite gaming binge that I've done. Oh, man. There's some memories of like childhood, playing games with friends. That's a big one for me on the favorite ones, which is interesting that immediately is what pops up. That's not what I expected. It kind of doesn't work for my theme, does it? But the fact is, some of those childhood gaming binges were great. I really enjoyed just like sitting with a bud and going in on. I'm remembering the game Beautiful Joe right now. And I'm remembering Paper Mario, stuff like that. Some Legend of Zelda games. They weren't like multi-day binge sessions, really. It was just playing with buds. But no, I went over several times. I think, oddly enough, my favorite binge might have been Warcraft 3. No, there were problems with that. I want to say that. I want to say that Warcraft 3 was great and brought out the best of me and all this, but it did, but it has a little bit of that like competitive, self-hatey, and like high intensity anxiety. Oh, got it. Subnautica. Subnautica was my favorite binge. To finish my Warcraft 3 thought, it had some of that like high intensity anxiety stuff, and like it's not really that like profoundly enjoyable binge that I'm trying to talk about here. Now, Subnautica is the perfect binge game for me. There were a few moments where I got tired, but the pacing on it was exactly right. The exploration, the story, all of this stuff, I could just dive in there whenever I wanted to, and it was beautiful in so many ways. I'm not going to spoil anything about Subnautica. If you've never played it, play Subnautica. Love that game so much. The first one. Sub-Zero I started playing around with, and I was like, this is pretty good, but I've just started thinking about the first one again, and I was like, well, maybe I've already had this experience. I'm not sure. I'll probably jump back into it at some point. Maybe. Who knows? That is everything that I have for you this week. Thank you for tuning in. I'm looking forward to having a good year 3 with all of you. If you've been here since the beginning, my God, I can't thank you enough. And for everybody who's been watching the Twitch stream, thank you. I need to set a date. I need to set a date for the return of the Twitch stream and just make sure that I have a session on that day. So we'll figure that out, and I'll let you all know, because I can't let the Twitch stream go. I just love hanging out with you guys. That's what it comes down to. I'm like, the Twitch stream is just fun. It's a good time. Maybe it's a shorter time. I don't know, but it's a nice way to stay connected to all of this. I enjoy it a lot, and I know that some of you do too. Y'all been at me in the Discord a little bit, and I'm sorry that I haven't been providing that for you, but you boys got to make money for once. It's rough. It's rough out here, Okay, that's it. Yeah, that's it. All right, I'll see you all in the next one. Hopefully I'll have a date for you soon for the Twitch stream returning. at least like, I don't know, once a week or something. I'm not even going to promise that, but I'll figure something out. I'll at least do a stream sometime soon. See you in the next one. Happy New Year. Bye-bye. Oh, wait, hold on. Get out there, make some stuff, and have fun with it. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.